Hi guys, these are my 10 ServiceNow tips no one will teach you. A lot of these are mostly aimed at beginners and a lot of it is just for SNUtils. So do skip around, but some of it I believe will help even intermediate people. So I hope you learned something. Just a quick disclaimer. Some stuff I say in this presentation may go against ServiceNow best practices and guidelines. Hopefully you are an adult and you can take responsibility for your actions and make your own judgment of what should be done. So my starting tip, number 10, I call it a Metatip. Just SNUtils is so useful. You should use it. You should learn how to use it. There's so much crazy stuff there, and you should definitely find a cheat sheet, which you can easily find online. And just the first time you read it, most crazy useful stuff will just go right over your head. So download it, print it, have it next to you or in your desktop background, and just read it often when you're bored in a meeting. And you will find with time, you just keep finding so much interesting stuff. Explore the / command list and SNUtil options. Just go every once in a while, go here. There's some crazy stuff here. And yeah, explore the community posts and our Nerdkoi YouTube channel. There's some really good stuff there also. You never know what you're gonna learn and how it's gonna make you so much more productive and efficient.
All right, now tip number 9 about avoiding builders and designers. You know, those kinds of ServiceNow interfaces where you're just...
No, not this shit. Not you, please, shut the fuck up. Why today? I was being so fucking productive. Why won't anybody in this fucking place just let me work?
Hi there.
What?
I was
What
trying
could
to
you
say.
possibly want now? Let me
Can you
guess.
see
You want to
the?
make changes to the shit that was delivered 2 weeks ago because you just
Just about
realized
the-
you don't like orange? Yeah?
It's about the
Well, I'm
color.
gonna have to politely ask you to circle back at your own anus
Oh.
and see how many story points it takes.
gosh.
I'm gonna shoot myself in the balls. Can I get my gun and I'll shoot myself in the testicles? I'm gonna shoot myself in the balls. Can I get my gun? Get my gun. I'm gonna shoot myself in the balls. Can I get my gun and I'll shoot myself? I'm gonna shoot myself in the balls. Would you come with me and we'll shoot each other on the testicles?
If it's right there.
Okay, that was interesting. Okay, number 9 about avoiding builder and design type interfaces. You know what I'm talking about? I'm talking about your smart assessment designers. I'm talking about your flow designers, UI builders, mobile designers. All these tools, especially when they come out, they're terrible, they're horrible, very frustrating, full of bugs. I'd not recommend it for anyone. So, of course, usually as a developer, you don't choose this, right? Someone tells you, you gotta work on VA, and you gotta use the VA, right? But I just want the beginners to know about this, right? It's very frustrating, so be aware of that. And 2 things you need to know about those kinds of things. If you gotta work with them, you gotta learn how to get around them. Some things, because of limited functionality, because of bugs, you gotta go in the back end and just change things manually. A lot of the times you just cannot escape this. In some cases, because of limited functionality of the actual designers, even ServiceNow recommends this. And the other thing is, sometimes if you're stuck and you think, I'm such an idiot, how can't I figure this out? It may not be you. You may just need to just delete the whole thing or deactivate it and just start again, the exact same configuration, because in the background, when you change things in these interfaces, ServiceNow is changing hundreds of records, and in the mix-up, sometimes they may mess something up and you really just gotta start over. You have no choice. So just be aware of that. All right, number 9, tabs and environment colorings. So
In ServiceNow, you are working with many different tabs, many different environments. Eventually, you're going to make a mistake and you're going to delete 100 records from production. No one wants that to happen, right? So as much difference as you can create between every environment, the better. So what you can use that I know of is you can use tab modifier extensions. Chrome has a very good one. You can use ServiceNow configurations, but that affects everyone. So you need to be aligned with your platform director, product owner, wherever, and it will impact the whole team and users. Right? Last one, easiest one, SNUtils settings by far. If you can use SNUtils, just come here, you go on the settings, and for each environment you can give a color, sentence, and configure all of this. It's very easy and very convenient. If you know other ways to be careful and separate all environments, tell me, because the most difference possible is what I'm looking for every time. Number 7, copying in lists. This is one of the stuff that went right over my head the first time I read the commands for SNUtils. Doesn't really seem very useful until you need it and you actually use it. So let's say you want to copy a list of incidents, a list of users, a list of groups, whatever, and you just want a name, you just want a number, you don't want this whole table. Usually you have to copy the whole thing and then clean up the text. You got to export the Excel. So what I learned is you can just select the ones you want, or if you want the whole column, just select one, and then you go commands and you do copy. In this case, let's say I only want the ones I selected, copy cells. Then it's in your clipboard. You can paste it wherever you want. So easy. Okay, and if you don't know this already, you need to know this. If you click here, not here, on the side, you get the encoded query for the query that you have applied. So this can help you debug encoded queries that you have on scripts, or generate encoded queries to put on scripts, and it's so helpful, so easy, that I basically never do normal queries anymore. I always do encoded query unless I need it to be especially readable or it's very simple. Okay, now number 6, form stuff. These are just quick things, once again, stuff that goes right overhead when you read the SNUtils cheat sheet for the first time. When you want, let's say here, I want to see all new incidents from David Miller, for example. If I want to see if there's a duplicate, he created two of them. So I just click color, state, control click on the field label, and it gives you a link to a filtered list with those matching fields. Let's say I clicked on impact. I don't actually want to filter by impact. Just click it again. If you want to add the sysid instead of the fields, you just control click on the header, right? And once again to remove it, and then you click on this and it opens the list. Very easy. And another thing is, if you're working on a process that has a lot of mandatory fields and it's a nightmare to test because you need to keep creating records, you can use the rnd command. Just rnd randomly fills every mandatory field, and it also works on catalog items, which is very useful. Now, number 5, I'm calling this one comparing on steroids. You will understand why very quickly. You need to learn the diff1, diff2 commands. So one thing is you're comparing versions, and that's very obvious, right? You have business rule. You just go on the version related list and you do compare. All right, but what if you want to compare different records on the same table, different records on different tables, or the same record on different instances, right? If you're reviewing code, or if you want to see how business rule is on dev compared to prod, you just need to learn the diff1 and diff2 commands. You just go on one, as long as you're in the same browser section, you go on the other, diff2, and there they are. This is so useful, guys. I use it so much. And then custom / commands for opening same record in different instances. Once again, these you can do some crazy stuff with SNUtils. So of course, let's see. I want to see how this business rule looks in production. Usually, what do you do? If you have SNUtils dev, and then you type out the name of production. But let's say this part of production is very complex, or this whole thing is customized and you need to change this whole thing and it's a bother to write every time. You can create custom / commands that are based on other / commands. So in this case, what I would do is / environment, and then you type out production 351250, right? You give it a name, any name you want, And then the only thing you need to write is this, and it replaces it with this. Right? And you can see it changed this thing I wanted. This is so useful. I use it so much. Number 4, opening large tables faster. We all know opening sys metadata, opening sys logs sometimes takes a lot of time. So there's this really quick, easy way. You just put a -F when you're opening it. It opens much faster because it doesn't have to load every single record. It only opens the filtering stuff, right? So you know how long this could take to open in a normal environment, right? So this filter is very good. And also you should take a while and learn all the other stuff you can put in there. These 3 are especially useful, so you should go and learn what they do. Now, number 3, most people already know this, but you can use SNUtils to search for a record just from the sysid. This is very useful. Sometimes you're debugging code and you find a hard-coded sysid. You don't know if it's data, you don't know if it's a business rule, if it's an event, and you need to look it up. It used to be you could just type it into here in the old version of ServiceNow. That no longer works, but SNUtils as usually got our S is saved. You can just go like this and it finds a record for you. Whether it's configuration record, whether it's data, it will find it. You can also use this to look up ticket numbers. Of course, you could put the ticket numbers here, but usually I just find it just works so much better here that I always end up using this. Now, number 2, uses of XML files. So you know what you've been told. You use XML files to move data records between instances when you can't use update sets. But there's other useful uses for this. First of all, delete missing records. Let's say you have a record that is no longer in development instance, but you need to delete it from production as part of your development. What you do, you pull that record through XML from the higher instances back into dev so that you can delete it and include that deletion in your update set. Other case is update read-only records. So, you know, sometimes there's a read-only record, but as part of your development or read-only field, you need to make changes. So the first easiest thing you can do is double-click that field and you can use SNUtils. Sometimes that doesn't work. It depends on what is causing the field to be read-only. Sometimes you need to go through script and you can use this nice little shortcut to open a script that it already has that record looked up. You can just make your changes. If it doesn't work, you can use set workflow false. If you don't know what that is, look it up. Sometimes an easier way is to just export the XML, change that XML, keep it with the same file type, just change the fields you need and import it again. And usually that will work and it will be very easy. Now, number 1, favorites and custom SNUtil shortcuts. They're actually called /commands technically. Because in ServiceNow you work with browser and a lot of records, a lot of URLs. Going around from tab to tab actually loses a lot of time, and finding URLs loses a lot of time. So if you can check your workflow for opportunities to improve this using favorites or /commands, really do that, because it's a crazy productivity enhancement. So of course, browser favorites has its disadvantages, very static. ServiceNow favorites has its disadvantages because you could lose it for clone and you need to have it in every instance. Custom /commands, my favorite if you have SNUtils and are allowed to use it. So 3 examples that I use for this, my updates this week. So I will go into an update set on the related list for customer updates. You click on the breadcrumbs and click open a new window. And you just filter it to show only your updates this week. You just remove the existing filter and then you use that as a favorite or as a /command to, before you close an update set that has been opened for a while, you go there and see if you've done everything this week that should be in that update set. And then you check your update set if it has records that shouldn't be there, and you can have much cleaner update set. Custom filtered syslog. So if you've worked on a while, you know that opening system logs, usually it's very slow. Here it's fast because it's a PDI, but it's usually very slow. It opens with millions of records. You should have your own favorite so that it opens faster. So what I do, I go into system logs every time. I filter it by created relative. After 1 minute ago, that's already plenty of records in a very active instance. Filter it. I'll usually have a string that I put into the beginning of every single log I use. So I get only my logs, and then I'll save this, usually as a custom slash command. I will save this filter so that I can use it in any instance, anytime. The other use case is for system mailboxes. The system mailboxes out of the box are not good when you're actually working with emails, because you usually want to see all of the incoming emails, whether they were ignored or successful, and the same for outgoing. And these filters just don't work like that. It's much better to have your own favorites, your own custom shortcuts. Now, bonus tip, and this one is just really for absolute beginners. If you've been on ServiceNow for more than 1 month, 2 months, just leave. The video is over for you. I hope you learned something. Yeah, but if you're an absolute beginner, you need to listen to me. Give up on ServiceNow. Don't learn this. Learn something actually real and useful to the world, like C++, Python, even AI. I don't care. Front end, back end, full stack. I don't care. The DevOps even. I don't care. So my reasons are, I mean, it's fun in the beginning. You learn a couple stuff and suddenly you're this automation magician, but it gets very repetitive, very fast. You're always doing the same stuff. Every script you write looks the same. It's annoying. Gets very old very fast. Currently, it pays very well and there's a lot of opportunity, but you don't know how long that will last, because it's famous for paying well and being easy. People could come in, flood the market, and then if you want to get out, it will be very hard, because no one outside the ServiceNow space wants to hire a ServiceNow developer. Also, if you've spoken to any existing senior developer, you know it just keeps getting worse. All these bad plugins, new bad products, new bad integrations. It just keeps getting worse. All these terrible, even lower code interfaces that don't work well. And at the end of the day, my main reason is that I just don't like it. And if you're like me, you will very quickly come to hate ServiceNow. Honestly, from the bottom of my heart, I believe it's a terrible technology, and the world would be a better place if it just disappeared on average. All right, that's everything from me. Thank you so much if you stuck this far. Hope you learned something. If you disagree with anything, if you have any questions, if you have better tips that you want to suggest to people, put them in the comments. Like, subscribe, and have a great day.
She was probably right about therapy.